Hello and welcome back to the Tennent Men's Premiership and National League highlights. We are nearly halfway there within the top flight and there's plenty more action to come in the Tennent Men's National Leagues. We're here to bring you all the action from last week's games, starting off at Golden Acre, where it was a big clash at the bottom of the table. Heriot's Blues hosted Musselburgh, with both sides looking for their first win of the season. It only took 4 minutes for the hosts to open the scoring. After a penalty was booted into touch, a series of phases passed before Charlie Dineen scored in the corner. And straight away after the restart, they were back on it again. Danny Dineen found the space to find Archie Bogle, who then passed to Craig Robertson to score in the exact same corner as the first try. Their dominant opening 20 minutes continued. This time Ian Kay got the third try for the hosts. This might have shocked the visitors, but they were back into it moments later after Finn Call found a gap to allow James Ferguson through. Despite looking to offload to Matthew McMillan, he instead found captain Danny Owenson, who went over for Musselburgh's first points. But that momentum was squandered moments later as Heriot's Blues got a penalty try to claim their bonus point. But in a game which saw them get 3 yellow cards, Musselburgh never looked out. Danny Owenson intercepted Graham Wilson's pass before offloading to Finlay Thompson, who then ran under the posts for the easiest of tries. This left the half-time score at 28-14 in what was surely to be an eagerly weighted second half, and Musselburgh started off the stronger, with Matthew McMillan finding Kyle Marshall, and with his fancy footwork he found Max Outram for Musselburgh's third try. An unfortunate injury to Heriot's Blues prop Simon O'Callaghan meant there was a lengthy pause to the game of about 15 minutes, and Heriot's took full advantage of that to get their breath back. Graham Wilson kicked this penalty to extend their lead after some pressure against the visitors. Musselburgh then immediately hit back as they found their fourth and bonus point try through Matthew McMillan. Despite looking back in it, they could not find those all-important points to win the game, and Graham Wilson also snatched a last-minute penalty to take away a second bonus point, and to leave Heriot's Blues walking away from Golden Acre with a win for the first time this season. Well, fantastic win there for Heriot's Blues. On the other end of the table, Hawick are still the only unbeaten side in the Premiership this season, with 5 wins and 1 draw. They travelled up to Edinburgh to take on Curry Chieftains, knowing however that they haven't won at Millennium Park for the last 12 years.
Hawick started what would be a fantastic afternoon with a try after only 4 minutes. Scrum half Gareth Welsh, who impressed throughout the game, followed a delightful dummy with a superb step and dotted under the posts to give the visitors the lead. But the Chieftains responded quickly. First, it was through the boot of fly half Jamie Forbes, knocking over an easy 3. And then Paddy Boyer fed DJ Innes on a superb line, and the number 12 brilliantly flicked to Ryan Stewart to finish a special score. Hawick bit back. From a penalty to the corner, they rumbled towards the line and eventually won a penalty try that saw Curry tighthead Cairn Ramsey sent to the bin.
And captain as well, please. Captain as well.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, was the message from the Hawick pack. 4 minutes later, they tried again, and this time the try was awarded to hooker Matt Carrier. The next try was run through the hands. A quick tap penalty caught Curry on the hop, And when the ball was eventually fed left, Jai Linton spotted a gap to gallop over the line and secure Hawick's bonus point try after only half an hour. Trailing by 16 points at the break, Curry needed a try. They got the next two. Scrum half Boyer was up first, scrambling to score in the corner after Hawick's defence was eventually worn down. Then came a score from prop Chris Anderson, worming his way through after some heavy Hawick hits on their own 5-metre line. But inaccuracy from the tee meant Curry still trailed by 6.
Tackle's fine. Tackle release! No, 6!
Instead, Ford would extend the visitors' lead with his accuracy. Not deterred, Curry went forward again. This time it was Charlie Brett, fending off 2 tackles and herring for the corner to bring the Chieftains within 4 points. But it would be as close as they would come. Hawick went back to what they did best in the first half, mauling Curry back over their own line, with Callum Rennick claiming the score. Ford's precision from the tee allowed Hawick some breathing room before their final try.
Yes.
Some devastating line breaks from the visiting pack allowed Dalton Redpath an opportunity, and he searched for the exit, bouncing off defenders to score and secure a first Hawick win at Millennium for 12 years.
Okay. Okay.
Well, a fantastic win there for Hawick. One side that's been in and out of form recently is GHA. Last week they fell short against Selkirk, losing by just 28 points to 14. However, they were up for most of the game. They took on their second Borders opposition in as many weeks as they hosted Jed Forest at Braidholme.
10 tries were shared between these two, but it would be the performance of a man with the tee that would win the day. Things started though with a GHA try after only 3 minutes when Luca Bardelli streaked in at the corner, with Chris Hyde converting. Get used to hearing that. The fullback dusted off the tee to add another 3 points moments later, getting the 5th of what would end up being a 24-point haul. Jed responded after 11 minutes when prop Paulo Ferreira crashed over from short range.
Away green! And use it!
GHA's response, another long-distance effort from Hyde. Jed Forest then kicked themselves, the man with the duties, hooker Finlay Scott. We got back to try scoring with centre Charlie Lonergan, finishing off after a period of GHA dominance. But Forest hit back when fly half Callum Young decided to go himself, crashing between 2 defenders before pumping his legs to get over the line. However, GHA would go into the break with a 6-point margin, thanks to a third Hyde penalty kick. Jed came racing out the blocks and took the lead for the first time, thanks to a try from Blake Roth. He burst through from a metre out, unlike the next try, when Lewis Young burst through closer to the 22 and raced for the line, securing the bonus point for the visitors.
Advantage. Roll, please. 16, now you roll, please. Yes.
GHA's response was immediate. Lonergan got close for the hosts before fly half Eminio Bugadrau whipped the ball out to Bardelli, who grabbed his second in the corner.
No, he's not.
Hyde missed the conversion, but GHA did not have to wait long before they were in again. This time Bogadrau offloaded to onrushing Fijian winger Aminia Kakasua, who went under the posts. Jed Forest duly reclaimed the lead after 65 minutes, reverting to their tried and tested rolling maul from the 5-metre line-out, and it worked a treat as Captain Clark Skeldon crashed over. Scott's conversion strayed wide of the uprights, leaving the match at a 1-point game at 36-35. But Kakasua was on hand again to restore the hosts' advantage, finishing off a wide move to score. Before a pair of late Chris Hyde penalties put the game beyond doubt.
We have time.
Well, coming out of Glasgow and down the M77 to Troon, where Mar hosted Selkirk. The visitors were coming into this with much improved form from last season, where they finished 9th, now finding themselves just outside of the playoffs. They came from behind last week to beat GHA, whereas the champions Mar have not had the title defence that they would have wanted, finding themselves in 6th place. It only took 45 seconds for the scoring to open at Fullerton Park when Ryan Cotterill got the first try for the visitors after latching onto a loose ball. Despite plenty of chances, Mar could not get their first points of the half, but they eventually found it through Blair Jardine, who managed to squeeze over the Selkirk line. But Selkirk kept fighting back, and Ryan Cotterill managed to get his second try of the match after some well-worked passing out to the right corner. With both conversions missed, it was just 3 points going into half-time. But the champions did manage to get into the lead, this time through Ben Johnston. Colin Sturgeon could not find the conversion, and the score was just 2 points in it. But Aaron McCollum was there to put Selkirk back in it with a fantastic 40-yard penalty. And thanks to some more great work, Scott McClement then managed to go over for Selkirk's third try, leaving the champions stunned. But credit to Mar, they managed to fight back, and Connor Bickerstaff went in for the try, with Callum Ingalls converting to give them a 1-point lead. Cotterill managed to give Selkirk the lead through this penalty. And before you knew it, Scott McClintock managed to burrow over for his second try and Selkirk's bonus point, leaving Fullerton with all 5 and leaving Mar empty-handed. Well, going back up to Glasgow now, where Hawks hosted the Edinburgh Accies at Balgray. The capital side find themselves top of the table for the first time this season. However, Hawks are not too far behind them. In a possibly anticlimactic game, it was Accies that would bring one of the highlights of the match. A fantastic run from Robbie Kent allowed Jamie Soule to find the gap, albeit he was stopped by some great defensive work from Oscar Baird. Despite their covering work, it was Tom Drennan that would go over the line for Accies' first score of the match. Gav Cruikshanks managed to get Hawks on the board with this penalty, before Ben Appleson, who had already converted Aki's only try, then got a penalty of his own to bring the score to 10-3. And then Hawks managed to get onto the score sheet with a try themselves, this time through Eastok Toktik. Despite this, there was very little action in the second half, and Ben Appleson got the only points of the game to keep Aki's at the top of the table. So Aki's are still top of the table on 30 points, Hawick behind them on 29. Selkirk now also move above Glasgow Hawks into the playoff spots, while Musselburgh now occupy the relegation spots. Heriot are just 5 points behind GHA in 8th place. Hawks will be looking to get back into the playoff spots as they travel to Hawick next week, who will be looking to extend their unbeaten run. Musselburgh will be still looking for their first win as they take on GHA. Jed Forest host Mar. Edinburgh Accies host Heriot's Blues in a capital derby, while Curry Chieftains will look to get back to winning ways as they travel to 4th place Selkirk. Well, finally we go to Tennent's men's national one, where the two unbeaten sides met at Nidderdale. It was first versus second in a Borders derby between Gala and Kelso. With a packed crowd looking on at Nidderdale, it was bound to be a fantastic clash between the two sides, with Kelso also looking for their first win at Gala since 2006. They were the first ones to get the points on the board as they secured a penalty try to take a 7-0 lead. They extended that lead moments later as Cammy Thompson managed to find his way over the line despite some brilliant Gallard pressure. Gala did then manage to get onto the score sheet through 2 Harris Rutherford penalties as they brought the score down to just 8 in it. Kelso did have the lead then going into half-time, but Marius Tamasitas had other ideas as he powered over for Gala. The try was also converted to bring the score to just 1 point. And despite Dwayne Patterson getting a penalty to extend Kelso's lead, Gala would eventually take the lead as Stevie Cairns went over for the try of the match. But Kelso's fighting spirit was there for all to show, and Andy Tate went over for their next try. And despite Rutherford scoring another penalty, it was Frankie Robson that would put Kelso back into the lead. Gala could not muster any more points, and Kelso had their first win at Nidderdale in 16 years, leaving Gala as well with their first loss of the season and the visitors going top of the table. Elsewhere in Tennent's men's national one, Ayr are keeping the hold of 3rd place and keeping the pressure on Gala and Kelso with a 43-5 win over Aberdeen Grammar, who are still searching for their first win, now with 6 losses in a row. Despite a strong performance against a fantastic Highland team, Stewart's Mill will still sit within the relegation zone, losing by just 3 points. Watsonians could not make it 2 on the bounce as they lost to Dundee at Mireside. The Tayside side, however, were getting back to winning ways after losing by just a point last week. And finally, Biggar's losing streak comes to an end as they came out the visitors in a narrow victory over Stirling County at Burrachaw. And finally, Melrose kept 4th place after they stormed past GHK at the Green Yards. And so there is a new face at the top of National 1 as Kelso finally overtake Gala. Kelso remain the only unbeaten side in the league, while Aberdeen also are still looking for their first win. GHK remain 10 points behind Watsonians. The bottom 2 meet next week at Rubislaw as Aberdeen Grammar host Biggar, while Ayr are travelling to Dundee Rugby in the hope to catch on to Gala, who are away to Highland. Kelso look to keep their unbeaten streak going as they are at home to Stirling County. Elsewhere, GHK take on Watsonians and Biggar host Melrose. The big result in Tennent's men's national 2 was Peebles' home win over Glasgow Accies, which sees them go above the Glasgow side to the top of the table. Preston Lodge's title chances also took a massive blow as Dumfries Saints' fight for survival is on, and it was heartbreak for Hamilton Bulls as they lost by just a point at home to Falkirk, which would have seen them get their first win of the season. That leaves them with the first point of the season, however well off the pace in the fight for survival. At the other side of the table, as already mentioned, Peebles are now top 3 points ahead of Glasgow Accies. Next week for them sees them take on Boroughmuir at Megatland, while Glasgow Accies are at home to Cartha Queen's Park. Elsewhere, Hamilton Bulls will look to keep the positives going as they are away to Preston Lodge. Elsewhere, Newton Stewart will host Dumfries Saints, Falkirk host Last Wade, and Berwick are at home to Kirkcaldy. In Tennent's men's national 3, Hillhead Jordan Hill pipped Whitecraigs to the post, winning by just a point in the end. Allen Glens picked up a massive win at Murrayfield Wanderers, while Orkney as well managed to get the win over Greenock Wanderers. Gordonians once again got maximum points with an impressive 61-7 win over Royal High, and West of Scotland managed to get the win in a tough battle against Tower Fife. They are still keeping the pressure on Gordonians, only just a point in it between the two sides. Hillhead Jordan Hill sits 7 points off second place. And despite putting a good performance against Orkney, Greenock Wanderers are still searching for their first points, while Royal High are also still searching for their first win of the season. Hillhead Jordan Hill will be looking to rain on Gordonians' parade as they travel to the league leaders, while West of Scotland are travelling to Greenock Wanderers. Royal High travel to 10th place Perthshire, while Allen Glens will be looking to keep the momentum of last week's win going as they host Orkney. Elsewhere, Howe Fife hosts Strathmore, and Whitecraigs are at home to Murrayfield Wanderers.
And so that is it for this weekend in the Tennent's Men's Premiership and National League. Some big results across the board, including Accies' win over and Kelso ending their 16-year losing streak at Nitherdale to go top of Tennent's Men's National 1. Join us next week when we'll find out who they and the rest of the clubs across the leagues do, and we hope to see you there. Goodbye.